All right. Gotta create some more content. Let some shit go. Let some shit flow. Let's give gratitude to the ancestors, known and unknown, to Source, to the Most High, whatever you subscribe to. Let's see. I assume. Dang. Sheesh. Boom. Message coming in abrupt and clear. I assumed that I was finishing a book, but I'm probably gonna upload this. I don't know. I keep either being called to my second channel or my third channel, but I'll decide because it all pertains to the inner child in this way. But what I'm recognizing is the book I was currently writing in is titled Lovers, Karmics, and Twin Flames. The karmic aspect is so big because I'm recognizing, ooh, there's a beautiful black and blue butterfly. It's a big one. I've talked about this before, but I've got like major clarity. And this is for my tarot heads out there, those who are into it. The King of Cups reversed. And when you look it up, research it, but also pay attention to like who it represents in your life, because I realized like I had to go to the root of a lot of things. And it was also revealing the fact of who was the main, like again, when you go to the root cause and anything pertaining to root work, spiritually, magics, whatever the fuck you want to call it, sorcery and all this other stuff, there's a root cause, meaning if you look at a tree, the root of what's being watered is being initiated by somebody, meaning like they're the root cause of it. They're the primordial source of what's been playing out and so forth. So for me, there was a prominent figure that I realized like this figure, let's call him the King of Cups reversed, and how much his initiation or his positioning has played a major role on the lineage. And now this story, I want you to place yourself not just where I'm at, but also where you know someone to be, because reversed King of Cups is also expressing the fact of like people who repress emotions or ignore a lot of things, and they escape through, how you doing? They escape through drugs, they escape through a lot of different things and so forth. You know, there's so many other things that's on there. But basically the opposite of anything that pertains to self-care and self-love. So now that being clear, if you are on a journey of bringing more stability and stableness and so forth and structuring your life from that inner child that needs to be acknowledged and healed, and facing subconscious fears and embracing more of yourself, then this will give you a lot of clarity on who this King of Cups, because Cups is pertaining to emotions. 6'8" can be significant too, because I just walked by and I looked down and the rock for some reason has 6'8" on it. So somebody could be the age of 68, born on a day of 6 or 8. You know, anything pertaining to that 6 and 8 is what? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is my birthday, but it breaks down to a 5. 1 and 4, 1 new beginnings, 4 stability. So this is very significant because the number 5 represents like the free spirit, like how it's drawn. It represents like liberation and so forth. So this is going to be a liberating message for a lot of you, because you're going to realize what this King of Cups, who's the root cause, but also who's the extension. Like this tree, you see this? the root of the tree, the root, who's the root cause, going to the roots, and who's the extension of that. Like the fruit, people who reenact this similar behavior and are trying to find ways to escape through. And this can be pertaining to your lineage. This can be pertaining to people close to you and so forth. Again, escapism through most likely dealing with emotional abandonment. So if they dealt with this, it's going to be very clear, because I had so much anger come up around this individual to where I had to navigate through the shit. Because, one thing about healing and one thing about navigating through suppressed and repressed emotions and suppressed memories, suppressed memories, or unresolved, I should say, unresolved memories and unresolved emotions, similar, whether repressed or suppressed, is that shit comes up when you actually ponder on it and think about it, because the memories come up, and when the memories come up around it, the emotion comes up around what happened at a point in your life on that timeline. Because we're dealing with time, which is energy. When I say timeline, that means a point on your journey in your life that you were almost, what I'm about to say is very significant. Like people believing, well, sometimes you don't even know that you're a prisoner to whatever spirit or entity that's unhealthily attached to somebody. You become almost a prisoner of their warfare. You become a prisoner of their spiritual warfare, or whatever they agree to. Even in interactions and connections with people, relationships and so forth, some people are unconscious of the loop. And this is why I'm going diving more deeper to why I realized why I was so attacked along with others while I was young. When you think about abuse, that means something where you haven't made peace within yourself, that you actually feel that a child, something that's innocent, or someone is entitled to that which you haven't resolved within your fucking self. That's not only a self-abuse, but an abuse of power and said authority. Now, authority on the spiritual aspect is much more deeper and on a higher rim aspect. But when you're dealing with people who have said power in your life, and then they try to forcefully make it seem like where you're a child, or you're this, and you're going to be this way, or I'm going to show it through my strength, And I noticed that's what this person did through manipulative tactics, through the fact of making sure everyone around them were basically fearful of them. And what I start to realize now, got so much fucking clarity, and this is going to shatter a lot of illusion that y'all going to realize and will come to know here soon how powerless people really the fuck are. Anytime people are trying to project, manipulate, use their said what they deem as authority, but really is a false sense of power, to abuse, manipulate, deceive, and so forth, really shows how powerless they really are. Because when you operate on a higher level of certain shit and you start to get a deeper awareness and so forth, you realize that this is the only way this person and so forth can establish a sense of identity. It's through their abusive, assertive nature, or through a way of asserting what they deem as power, or again, a false sense of authority, to make it seem like they have one up or even control. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, this prominent figure, I start to get clarity, like, damn, whole time you have to go back into your childhood and see who were the most prominent figures in your life, who was the most relevant. When it comes to your childhood wound and inner child, you have to pay attention, not only who inflicted the pain, but also who were supportive of keeping that narrative going. Even in the fact of them knowing or unknowingly, because there's a point where you have to know, like, come on now, you got to be a heartless motherfucker or soulless probably to even keep thinking like, this shit really gonna keep going? This shit really gonna keep happening? You didn't think that nobody was gonna become aware? So let me actually share more on this topic for sure. Is I've spoken about on my, I believe, first channel, and I recognize the energy I was in because a lot of the energy I was in, I was very much emotional. I will say that. It was very much justified because of the unwanted beatings, abuse that not only was supported by people in my family, but just the simple fact of them accepting as this a form of discipline. Okay. He all right. I'm just. He a beautiful dog, but I'm trying to do a video, man. What he mixed with? Yeah, I've never seen that color before. Okay, man.
His mom was a brown brindle.
Oh, okay. Hey, man. I know you trying to protect your dad. I'm not gonna do nothing. Shit. Okay, see you later. Have a good one. But yeah, it's a beautiful dog. Probably see I don't want people on camera. It was a beautiful color. Matter of fact, he had colors like on my jacket. But anywho, he just wanted some acknowledgement. Plus, he in that little ass cage, this big ass dog. Kind of makes me think about going back to the whole concept of what I'm about to get into. Is again, some of y'all don't know you was prisoners of other people's warfare. You were prisoners in literally, what is that shit called? Arrested development? Think about arrested development. So when you think about people who have, they lock themselves away in their trauma. People have literally enabled, supported people to literally lock themselves away in their trauma. When y'all look at the grand scheme of this, the powers that used to be and how much shit that has been plaguing your generations and lineage, you will realize that a lot of you have been a part of some shit that kept you almost locked away in prison. You think you just gotta go to what they call jail or prison physically. Some of y'all still, wish the illusion will be broken under a fucking spell of imprisonment when it comes to things contractually dealing with a country, your family, literally arrested development. Some people got you locked away in their trauma and you don't even fucking know it. You unknowingly, that's the dangers in being unconscious of shit. And so for me, this is how I knew who this King of Cups reverse was and how much even the spirit, it's like once you heal, you start to see the motherfucking ick, the fucking slimy snake people to be. You start to see that these motherfuckers are not wise. They're very fucking ignorant. That's why you can have people disguised. That's why you can have these spirits disguised as something on the surface and deep down they rotten inside. Rotten. Shout out to, what's her name? Akashic Prince, where she said that a snake slithering, slimy motherfucker. A serpent wise, wisdom. serpent, referring to the Kundalini energy. But anywho, other than that, when I was writing, I was like, I looked past the vessel of the person. And it's like, for some of y'all, this is going to be a motherfucking cold right here. I'm glad I walked right here because I can sit my ass down. Because this Taurus season been telling me to slow down. And I have. Staying grounded, slow down, and rest. Because I'm very much aware of, too, what's about to happen to a lot of people because they don't slow down. And I need to sit in the sun, though. I want to get some of this shine. Shine. That looked like a good table. So, anywho, in the book, I was referencing this person to beyond what I saw. But I recognized the attachment, the spiritual attachment. Sometimes you think it's just the surface shit. You think that it's just the behavior. You know, the actions. We get so angry at the actions of people. Did y'all turn these off? Yeah, I did. We get so angry at the actions instead of looking beyond the surface and seeing the motherfucking distortion. Instead of seeing the fucking distortion. Instead of seeing the imbalances. Instead of seeing the shit that's really like asking of you to really go within yourself to see why people who are karmic act the way the fuck they do. And how did I break this down? Like, it's like the person, let's say this, those of you that will come into how gifted you really are, your assignment here, your purpose, not to be confused with legacy, because those who just focus on legacy focus on surface shit, superficial shit. When you realize that your purpose will outlive you, you don't outlive your purpose. Well, yeah, your purpose outlive you. You don't outlive your purpose, meaning like beyond what you're actually doing, it's actually going to ripple into generations to come. I was getting that clarity as I was walking. I was like, yo, there's a difference where I start to see shit like beyond just the physical. And then I was like, okay, so is this what some call immortality, or some people see as mortal, which is just focusing on the superficial surface shit? Because those who knew what immortality meant was the fact of like how your legacy, how your purpose and what you're doing here, your mission is bigger than you just coming here. It's something that outlives you, meaning outlives your physical body. It's something that continues. So think about the people who want to keep or have tried to keep you in the dark, and or people connected to you. Some people's legacy is just to keep their fucking, some people's legacy that they're creating, they assume that it's going to be, you know, they're more focused on, oh yeah, I want this to continue through this generation. And they don't realize like a lot of what they deem as their legacy, when the value system has changed, when so much things are shifting, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, it's not about legacy. It's truly, when you get down to it, it's the, those who know it's the, what y'all call traditions, is something that could be seen, could be perceived as a purpose. Like whomever in your lineage brought this tradition along was something that they knew that would outlive them. So this is why you hear people say like they don't want to do things traditionally, but more when you think about traditions, for some it's more so like a you know how people use different pantheons, or like African and Chinese mythology, certain things that when you look at the tradition of things that's been in the lineage for so long, some of you are here to initiate something and bring forth something that will be like that will be continued for like lineages, eons, if so, like it's that's the more so I will perceive like the immortality in that, because when you think about, again, people who are just focused on the surface shit, they won't see the beauty and beyond the fact of like, what am I really doing here, instilling in my children? Because think about the whole concept previously to what people have succumbed to or become so comfortable and accustomed to, is the fact of, you think that when the powers that used to be, knowing that people will continue to loop through being preyed upon, that was all a part of the fucking plan, to keep people more focused on that, while other people who practice their traditions or arts in a different way continue their conniving, manipulative, hot in their hand. But now there's an even playing field, because those who know, when it comes to the fact of like dealing with bloodlines, things that are more deeper spiritually, this is something that cannot be touched. Meaning, like, some of you are not to be touched in any way when it comes to, because there are going to be repercussions, consequences. There's going to be a backfire. And that's what I recognize, that for some of us that I realized this was something more deeper for me, because when I saw the very person who entered into my grandmother's life, and I gotta ask my mom that when this person shot my grandmother and my mom, I'm trying to realize, like, was that before my mom had me? Because I'm going a little deeper to where I felt like there was something that wanted to make sure that my incarnation didn't happen. Do y'all see how deep this shit goes? That's why I keep telling y'all about spiritual warfare. There is something that, for some of y'all, that has been trying to attack or been in your lineage, trying to keep you from progressing or let's say evolving. And that's why some prominent figures are a representation of that energy manifested, to keep your lineage in the dark. And that specific individual, there's two actually, that have similar behaviors that represent that distorted father, that I realized that they knew or had some knowing, because one of them never said much, but I could pick up that he knew. Like, basically, if I could address this almost like the authority or the power that I had young. And I say that because my whoopings would be different than anybody else. That nigga hated me. I never told my mom, my grandma, that nigga hated me. It's like something within him hated me. And when I looked at that on the spiritual aspect, I said, oh, this shit is deeper than that. The jealousy, people with jealousy and envy, it's something within them that obsess over the power. And they forget about the authority that you're going to be brought into. They obsess over the power that they want to have, it's in you, not on you. So they obsess over the power that you've been given before you incarnated. So that's why I keep telling you about spiritual shit on a higher level, principalities, virtue, all these different things that people are unaware of. Okay, birds, y'all is coming through. Some of y'all don't realize the anointing on your fucking life. There has been things that was literally in the womb, making sure that your incarnation or your forming in the womb was disrupted, only for you to be restored. Now, let me not get too ahead of myself. When I say this nigga hated me, I was the only one. I talked about this in the book. I was the only one. I'm not going to share too much because I know y'all going to want to read the book. But, And this is a figurative of my imagination. Now, the book goes more into detail, but basically, this shit was wild how, like, again, how his attacks on me would be like of me knowingly now, where me having awareness now that I was a threat to the foundation that he wanted to keep going. So it's almost like something dark within him that was plaguing him, that was attached to him. It was almost like we were in this battle, and I was just a little fucking boy. Cause I would challenge. I was be the only one as as a man that grew into a little boy that grew into manhood, be to challenge his throne. Y'all got to realize, when you're talking about the powers that used to be, or what behind the scenes that was creating, these things dealing with people, how they act, characters and shit, that at a point in time, they were on the throne. If you know what I'm saying. Like, when you see the music industry, all this other shit, there was a part of people, things behind the scene, beings and shit like that that have now been dethroned, but were a part of ushering in what you see, whether you want to call it evil, wickedness, and malevolency, if that's a word, but I know malevolent is, but a part of that. To the only beings and people who can bring balance are those who observe and have studied the malevolent to balance that out with benevolency, or the benevolent. And so it's a way of me realizing, like, this motherfucker knew some shit. And there's another figure too. Before I jump into him, I realized, like, this person made it very clear that he made sure that no one would progress through financial abuse, mental and emotion, because he wasn't a father figure. He was just a figure of what a father was supposed, just there because of my grandmother. But I just noticed and started to study, like, oh, this is the distorted father. This is the wounded masculinity playing out through him. And then he enables this through a mother wound to stay close to my sisters and my grandmother and all the women in the family. So it was almost like the monitoring spirit. When you think about the fact that a man has unalived someone and went to prison, and then somehow, I think my grandmother said before he got out, or this happened before they connected, because I don't think it happened while they were together. But the fact of, like, y'all have to realize, like, in that not vetting people, in that not realizing how important, like, being in tune spiritually and so forth is, you're making yourself a motherfucking target. You're making yourself a fucking target. And now that I think about it, when you think about mostly low vibrations, low entity attachments and spirits and certain shit, y'all don't realize how not just an empire is overthrown, but anything that is overthrown has to do with the fact of something seeping in, somebody being weak in the spirit, somebody being weak in something to where it opens a door, and now this has come in, and now it's almost like a mold. It's growing. So that's what I realized, like, this happens a lot with single mothers, especially when I think about my grandmother. My aunt wasn't around as much with her kids. Also, my mother wasn't around. So now my grandmother's in this position where she's raising all these grandkids, and here's this man here, and I'm sitting here like, well, what the fuck went on? You were married to this man, and y'all actually thought verbally, physically abusing us? Like, this man shot you. What the fuck? I'm starting to think like I'm trying to think, did he shoot? I don't even, some shit I be so confused on. I had to see the deep psychological fucked up mentality people had to have to still allow a person in their fucking space, in their energy, in their vortex, even in their fucking home. Because all of this is energetic. Y'all don't realize, like, all of this is a part of when you don't cleanse, when you don't acknowledge the fact of what has happened to you for you to even repeat patterns, learn behavior patterns in childhood development stages. Like, it makes so much fucking sense, bro. I'm sitting here like, whoa. How this man would still, I don't even know, I don't keep tabs on nobody because I'm not around people, but how even before I had departed years ago, to see this person still coming around from my childhood. You shot my grandmother in the stomach and you shot my mom, I believe, like near the chest area or something. And I used to asked my mom, like, why do y'all still go around? Like, what the fuck? I asked my grandma, and just her response was related to my youngest sister, because where I'm getting at is like, I'm getting y'all to realize, like, this ain't just a physical thing. This is something that it's almost like scent. And when people don't have protection, that's why I always tell the fucking matriarch, like, y'all are healing. The more you start to heal, show up for your inner child, and cleanse, you will cleanse not only the spirits that attach to people and so forth within yourself and attach to other. Well, when you heal and cleanse within yourself, the divine going to fucking reveal through dream state, through your intuition, through whatever the fuck it is, what cannot cling on to you, what cannot go with you into your new journey, into your new life. And then a part of that is the fact that what will go into the next lifetime for your fucking kids, the generations to come. Some men were sent on y'all path. And you knew nothing about vetting. You knew nothing about protecting yourself. You just wanted him in your life simply because of what? Your own abandonment issues that you never acknowledged, that no one ever told you that you was going to deal with later on in life. You just want it. So you kept having babies and shit. It ain't on you. Y'all trauma bonded. You met, and that's how you met. Then I started to realize this. I call him this fucker. I realized, like, it ain't the fucking person. It's the fucking spirit I know. Like, literally coming in, and it was intentionally to disrupt. Y'all don't realize, like, a lot of y'all trauma, y'all fucking nervous system is fucked up. I'm telling you from experience. Like I said, this man turned us upside down in the bathroom butt naked. I didn't ever see him whoop I don't know of consistency of him whooping the girls. It's like it was so much of protection there, and I realized, like, it had a lot to do with the fact of abandonment wounds, emotional abandonment. Because like I said, my grandmother had me, my sister, my other sister, and my cousins, which was my aunt kids. Some of us, I think it was like 6 of us at the time. And it's just the fact of how and you can just see the deep dark, like the darkness in people now, the woundedness when they're unaware of their abusive nature or probably what they went into. Because when you're dealing with something where you have unalived someone and went to prison, and then just a psychological warfare, you go in there, then, you know, and then you get out. And if you haven't addressed shit, anything, not only will you prey on who, you know, that's the thing about them, the deep aspect of the spirits, but it's like something's in them, those who know, it's like seeking to prey on somebody, on an individual. And who better than my grandmother, who had to raise fucking grandkids basically without much of support, because it was so much inconsistency on my mom's part, and because she was living out her fucking father wound and abandonment issues emotionally, mentally, so the pattern basically continued. But this man was just such a representation of a father figure in such an unhealthy way, to where I became aware, like, you ain't nothing healthy about you. Never was. You didn't you wanted to beat and instill in us the pain, whatever you dealt with as a man or abandonment issues. You wanted to hold, you actually held us upside down, butt naked, in the fucking bathroom and whooped us. And just to even see no one come to our aid, it's utterly ridiculous. This happens to a lot of kids behind the scenes, behind closed doors and shit. And the system is created purposely for that. If y'all only knew the deep aspect of the spiritual shit, the wickedness that, shit that has, y'all shut the fuck up with this elite shit. Shut the fuck up with this shit that talking about this. It's people in, this place. Listen, I'm very much aware of certain things, but I'm very much aware of, like I tell y'all, the Wizard of Oz aspect. You got to start relating shit to the fact that what's in your life presently that you ignoring to see the fucking patterns that you've learned that don't even realize you recreating or you reenacting. Like I said, that whatever was in him did not want to see me progress at all. And I would have never saw a lot of this shit clearly had I not came into my, not even just manhood, but a part of it really start to come to me when I had a child. It's like he knew I was going to be that generational curse breaker, because nobody in the family, the men, never said shit. They always, it's like they reminded him of trauma bond. It's like y'all respected a motherfucker. It's like the darkness within them, the spirits within them, like knew, like they was in agreement. That sounds wild, but for real, if you know, you know. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it made sense how this man or even the men in my family were never encouraging, never supportive, because they were very much similar. They had emotional or physical abandonment wounds. Their mother preyed on them. It was something to where they still were undeveloped emotionally. You're dealing with people undeveloped emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and so forth. They chose not to evolve. So their intentions was nothing but to harm, be deceitful, be manipulative. That's why every time some shit happened, he made sure that he was somewhere in the fucking mix, like a monitoring spirit, watching everything, making sure. Even when my grandmother and them split up and shit, it's just to see how psychologically, like how she would move on with someone and his name started with a J, basically they had the same fucking name. The man that she parted ways with and moved on with had the same fucking name. I always looked at that like, what the fuck? And you're still dealing with people unresolved shit. So it didn't matter how she moved on. It didn't matter how people moved on. We was with our grandmother like for a while. Because my mom could never really have nothing stable because of the fact of, again, when you're dealing with abandonment wounds, your identity ain't in nothing stable. It's more geared towards instability. It's more geared towards keeping you in the dark. It's more geared towards focusing on that escapism. So you're going to find it very challenging to stabilize yourself and bring structure. And once I started to realize it didn't matter how the age of people and so forth, this is how some of us can feel more wiser or, old souls, or feel more, basically I'm going to say wiser. It's not the age, it's the spirit, it's the soul. Feel more wiser and more mature than our mothers and fathers, because it's just certain things we refuse to not overlook. We acknowledge things within ourselves, and it can pertain to on the soul level and so forth. What you came here to learn, what you came here not to repeat, what they came here to karmically be karmics to remind you of, to clear, and so forth. Because I realized that, oh yeah, this motherfucker did not at all want me in any way to come into the knowingness that he was a snake. Like I said, like a monitoring spirit, popping up at the functions, being around shit, showing up. It's almost like he was this. I realized he was bi-curiously living out his mother wound through my grandmother. She even told me about stories about like how he even tried to put witchcraft on her or do roots or something. And I asked myself now, I'm like, well, is this shit backfiring now? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff that play out, you know, you realize like shit start to backfire because it's just an abuse of power. Like again, the abuse of power is like people abusing their magic, their, you know, their gifts, if you want to say that. Because y'all don't know, it's people not just in your family, it's people that can be sent there to keep that progression or evolution from moving forward. And that's what I realized he was, alongside my aunt husband. Same shit. This nigga came out of prison, and you know, there's a lot of people in the family talk about the fact of how he had allegedly associated with root doctors and shit. And if you know, you in the South, you fucking know. In some way, shape, or form, everybody out this bitch is a part of something ritualistically or does something ritualistically. All of it is a form of magic. All of it is a form of operating in a form of magic and whatever your intentions is behind it. If you want someone's life to flourish, you're going to speak life. You're going to speak life into yourself. That's the magical aspect of your imagination. I mean, what the fuck? Look at the word imagination. Anywho, imagery, all these different things. So I started to recognize certain people. I was like, oh, you were like one of the first prominent karmics, not just the mother, the matriarchal. I realized like you were that King of Cups, and then your influence had and I'm gonna tell you how it really fucks up a lot of the women is when you have certain figures around that are in this distortion, who deal with a mother wound, deal with abandonment. Man, they not gonna motherfucking care if your son actually be healthy in any way, shape, or form. If anything, they gonna influence him to fuck. They gonna influence him to go out there and self-sabotage his life. And you gotta realize unconsciously, they'll do it in a way of thinking that they caring. Because they can care, they can have love, but when they really don't have love for self and self-care, let me tell you something. There's still, most of these men, when you look at society collectively, they are fucking King of Cups in reverse. Their inner childs are wounded. When you look at music, when you look at a whole bunch of shit, ladies, if you don't know nothing about tarot, just go look at the King of Cups, like reverse. Ain't nobody asking you to fucking read too much into it. Look at the description. The description will tell you everything about the man you have in your house, the man that you keep bringing around, and the men that you clap for. I don't give a fuck of what status, celebrities, whatever it is. These people are so disconnected from their emotions. That's what I realized. He was careless. He didn't have empathy. And what you're seeing displayed is that you're going to see, no matter what y'all see, his false interpretation of leadership was to be in some type of shape or form to make sure his presence was known, to where, again, when you're little and young, and this is why I referenced in my other video, like where Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future, teach them well, let them lead the way. It's because we lost sight. When you lose sight of the inner child, you lose the fucking importance in the sight. You lose sight of the fucking child itself. You don't give a fuck who raised them. You don't give a fuck who grows the kid. You don't care, because you become so disconnected through your pain and so forth. And then now here you are unconsciously, intentionally, for some of you, projecting your pain, projecting your experience, you know, and it's all perception at the end of the day. I'm not asking people to accept and agree, but now you're projecting your shit onto him or onto her. That's what happened. That's all that nigga did. That's why I started to realize, oh, this is a wounded ass little boy in an old man body. Because he old. He ain't wise. He old. Because wisdom will have your ass recognizing your pattern, and then also recognizing the fact of how your knowingness, knowledge, and then how you apply it is your wisdom. So in that, that's how you build your audience. That's how you build your supporters. That's even how you build your empire. So y'all watching the whole empire fucking collapse off narcissists, off control, off of manipulation, the distorted mother and father. Because this is how the women in my family became distorted. It's because a lot of their father wounds and shit, by them not having a man there, anything be supportive, because it's not their fault. This man was just there physically, and that's all they knew. So of course, here I am trying to address certain things. Shit. What? Nigga, get the fuck out of here. Who are you? And then if it ain't obtaining to the distortion of just being attached to money, because again, a lot of you have got so accustomed to that and don't see the importance of your spiritual currency. It's all about what he can provide. It's all about how much wood he can sling. It's all about how much he can love you down and manipulate you and use his wand and impregnate your ass. Now you still left with these fucking father wounds, and then now you got some of his mother wounds mixed up in that motherfucker. Now this child done came in the same karmic energy that y'all was in. Now you fucking mad. Now you angry. You should be angry at your fucking self. You should take accountability for fucking once. That go for men and women. I had to do it. The fuck I'm gonna blame somebody else for my life and so forth. Man, I was given this shit to bring awareness, to see the bigger picture, to share it. So that these kids out here, some places I go, to see how their mama talk to them, I be sitting here like, bruh, I already know where that little boy gonna go. Because just cause how I seen the little boy the other day, because I'm at the part where me and the little boy has had words. We had words, but I just knew that, like, you can tell the boy ain't been loved or received and nurtured and so forth, because this tough guy act. All this tough shit. And I don't know the vice. I know the vice he deal with, but at the same time, I can plant seeds. But again, this is bigger than that when you're dealing with the fact of how and who we've allowed to influence our children. So now, the other day, I was walking by with my son. And this is how the universe brings things full circle. When you know you're on the right path, it don't got to make shit, no fucking amount of sense to nobody. Because me being the root cause of what my son is influenced by, because he is the fruit that will continue and then someday plant his seed. When I was walking by, you know, his mom pulled up, and you can just tell by the guy she had in the car, you can just see the energy. Y'all gotta realize, once you start getting in tune, you can recognize, you'll be able to recognize the little boy in a lot of men and women that is unevolved. You know, because what type of man that's with a woman that don't speak up and say, hey, you shouldn't talk to them kids like that? Because you know why? Because in your protecting your inner child, you will be able to what? Address and check her in a way to where, hey, you don't have to talk to him like that. You don't, that's not because that comes with healing. The approach is everything. The intention also is everything. But you can just tell due to her pain, you can just tell. I've seen how people talk to their kids because I've experienced. Get your mother. Mine need to get over here right now. Those who know exactly what I'm talking about. Mine need to get over here. My kid right now. You need to move fast. Get the fuck over. Blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. I'm just my son on his little balance bike walking. And y'all don't realize like how just me being so present, healing myself, I too am a bridge to my son. And I know he won't experience anything like that. And that's simply because the fact of, it doesn't matter what type of partnership or relationship you in, it's what you continue to allow and fucking reward. Because I guarantee the guy would have said something like, yo, don't talk to them like that, relationship would have been done, because you're checking not only the spirit, but you're setting a fucking boundary. And most of the time, those type of people like that will end up causing their own suffering, end up back in the same loop. They'll go through the same loop with another man similarly until they recognize that it's them, until they recognize that it's their role. That's all you're seeing. That's all that you realizing and coming aware of. This is why I had to, when I saw him being talked like that, all I saw were the kids' heads drop. Because in talking to them like that, you're still pouring into them. Your projections of how you speak to them reflects you. Most people will never acknowledge that shit. So think about your music. Think about the motherfucking people here you allowing. That is a projection from their fucking spirit I don't give a fuck about none of them artists and certain people. How they fucking feel about themselves, and if they think they're gonna have any type of influence on my kids or anybody else, see, that's how y'all gotta be so fucking on top of your fucking healing and yourself, and then everyone involved, because then you will be like, you start holding, your values start to change. Like, man, you know what? Man, I seen it. Let me tell you something. Let me show you how deep this shit goes, especially with sexual trauma, especially with a lot of shit. The other figure, my aunt husband, let me tell you something, the fucking stories and shit, oh my gosh. I would have to have one of my cousins come on here and really talk about this shit, because these people don't have a safe place, because the thing was so significant to your mother and father and what they allow in, because people, these blurred boundaries, they'll start letting people come in. You don't know if this motherfucker got sexual traumas. You don't know if this nigga or her have dealt with shit, got shit on them. Y'all keep thinking this spiritual shit is a fucking game. Y'all about to really see this shit be amped up. Y'all about to really see shit that's value. I just saw a video of a celebrity with their child and the whole fucking stripper beside it. Like, y'all don't realize they're slowly going to show you what they value. And some people, for a lot of you on your journey, it's going to start showing you what you value. You keep thinking that you got to see this person in the media. Man, you got, bro, it's people in your fucking neighborhood, in your hometown or around like that. It's similar fucking behavior. And y'all don't care to remove yourself. You ain't got to up and just leave. Stop going to the functions. You know why I cut people off? Functions. Stop going to the functions, the cookout. Stop going. You know why? Because look at this function. Why the fuck would I keep supporting this function if I'm over here trying to function stuff, get my life operating correct? Why would I go over here and try to support more of it? No. All of us collapsing. You don't got to tell me. The divine revealed to me. These very men, once I remove myself, it ain't just removing physically. As I remove myself physically. Because if it was up to them, when you're dealing with foundations of dysfunctionality, you're dealing with the fact of emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, all different parts. It just comes out in different ways. This is why you see people not be so supportive towards encouraging you to move on, to go on and live your journey and so forth. In any way they feel like they can support, fuck no. Because a lot of unfulfilled things within them won't allow that to happen. This comes to the fact of them being so disconnected from their inner child, and more so, them not ever having the support, even through when they fall or fall on hard times. I noticed that with a lot of people. They're not going to support you on hard times. You know why? Because nobody ever supported them. They've gained this selfish, self-righteous mentality and actually built on that. And guess what's going to end up happening? It's going to collapse on that. It's going to collapse in on itself because it's inward. When they never knew how to show up for themselves and no one ever showed them, you're seeing the collapse of everything systematically that preyed on childhood woundings. Everything. Your cartoons, your music, everything dealing with the industry, everything. These characters are going to gradually keep showing you. And it's really like, it's just their belief systems. And even they're wounded in the shit. Even that, they are part of like shit that they was exposed to. Their mother and father didn't care. What makes you think that they're any different? I keep telling y'all, bro, they're not exempt. No one's exempt from this shit, this karma. You got individual karma, you got collective karma. We're collectively clearing shit. This is why certain shit wanted to keep people in the dark. That's why when you have one person in the lineage who's willing to have the courage to speak on things and break the cycles and patterns and so forth, it brings enlightenment. Everybody in that motherfucker don't gotta come into this. It can be one other person. And guess what? It's their willingness to do the inner work to be guided out of the dark. To actually see, if you're in the dark, what can you see there? If you don't become the light within the dark, you'll just, you be in there thinking that this is just all there is. People wanting you to drown and your own emotions keep you in a certain place, and they the ones doing this, pushing you down And then when you come up gasping for air, they got their hand out there. They got one hand pushing your ass down, and the other hand like, so you can't see no other support. They hand like right there, like, hey, I'm the one. That's how I look at people that's like the narcissist templates, or the people who burn themselves out, or abandonment issues, I should say. Like, they're always, notice who always jumping in, coming in. I notice this with my husband and the other man in my family. The other man in the second family, well, the karmic, like the grandma, dealing with the grandma. This nigga was always around. I start to see, I said, hold on, let me look and see this. My cousin and them dealt with sexual traumas from this man. My aunt knew about it because my cousin come out and said, I'm like, what? So when you're dealing with shit, cycles and stuff, the financial abuse comes in the fact of they're not going to support you through the fact of you moving on. They're going to do anything to keep binding your ass, to keep your ass binded to that low frequency, that low vibration, keep you in shit, gaslight you, rage bait you, and so forth, try to get you caught up in systems, try to get you caught up. Man, it's so much shit y'all got to realize when you're dealing with certain systems and so forth. All of it is a form of a loop to keep people. Like, y'all keep thinking about, it's more than just the prison system. It's also people being in prison, wanting you to be a prisoner in their world. Once you start breaking generational cycles, you start to realize, oh shit, these motherfuckers, they ain't ever want me to realize I was the warden, the superintendent, the principal in itself. Like some people in so much dysfunction, any way that you try to escape, like, or no longer wanted to be scapegoated, it made me reveal that these people were literally gained this false identity around woundedness so much. They were so loyal to a wound that they rather be scapegoated through. You know your men that you see today, when you really pay attention to them, that savior complex, that ain't nothing but another way to be scapegoated through. Whether financially, emotionally, mentally. If they don't know how to withstand and stand on their own, and I don't just mean physically. Because y'all don't realize, I started to become aware how much I was ahead of the game, or even the fact of like, showed up early. I fear early to this shit. Because you fear early when you realize, damn, is it anybody else like me? Is there anyone else like-minded like this or have this awareness? You feel early. Because you start to realize, like, on this journey of really diving into your inner child, and outside of the conniving, manipulative people in the spiritual community too, and that's also a part of the religious community too. Yeah, because that's a part of the spiritual. Again, the awareness around, pay attention. Are they really enabling me? Are they really supportive when it comes to me wanting to get on this journey to better myself, to really check myself, to really take full accountability? And those are going to be a telltale sign who willing to stay in shit and stay in it for the money. Think about that. That's something on the description of the, the King of Cups reverse. People staying in something simply because of the stability, the money, and so forth. Codependency. Yeah. Because they're not willing to accept the reality that not only will it eventually collapse, but when the shift happens and people start to elevate within and recognize these patterns and so forth, it's doomed. It's so evident. Your fears start to come up. I start to see stuff with people. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even really surprised what's going to happen. I'm not surprised that this is happening, because the more stable and secure I became within myself, because I start to look at the shit I couldn't, like, I'm telling you. I started to see how certain men in my family, especially who was upholding this image of, and just like seeing even how my grandmother would protect the image of these people when knowing that they was at fault, or knowing what they did was wrong or unjust. I'm like, wow. I couldn't ignore it. I started realizing this ain't even my fight. This is something deeper. I already won the fucking war by moving away, staying away. And that's why I tell y'all the difference between when you reclaim your power or your authority, your sovereignty over your life by recognizing what kept you in that, the opposite of that, or kept you in a place of from progressing or evolving. That's the difference between the authority and the false sense of power. Because you realize these are people who are living off through their projections and inability to heal. That's their false sense of power. Because those who know that's in tune, realizing like, to be in power, you're going to empower others. And those are the ones who will come into power. And they're already in power. The ones who are empowering themselves and others. Embodying it by doing the inner work. And also recognizing seeing the interconnectedness in it all. So it's going to be very prominent. Again, who don't give a fuck about your kids? Y'all keep just thinking, oh, it's billionaires and people and all these other people and all like this. When has a message ever been about healing or the inner child? But don't be confused about the ones who also who disguise themselves in the spiritual community and all like that. All that shit been exposed too. They all have been a part of it. All been a part of the wicked shit and disguising themselves in the shadows. It cannot be hidden no more. So with that being said, I saw a lot of people who sometimes you have to observe and realize like they were never going to be the ones who evolved or liberated the lineage. They were never meant to. They didn't care to do the inner work. They were never meant to. What are you surprised for? Y'all keep thinking celebrities or other people, they were never meant to. They've already chosen their path, their fate, pretty much. And eventually they will succumb to be disempowered as well, or dethroned. Because a lot of what they was attached to was a part of what was on the throne at a point in time, to it no longer being dethroned. I mean, it no longer being there. It's now dethroned and collapsed. The shift in power has already happened. The shift in authority, I should say, has already happened. Folks don't give a fuck about me, my inner child. They never addressed, they never came out, they never said nothing. They pretended. Y'all get caught up in the illusion of people. What do y'all call these people? These spiritualists that like be online. What else? These people ain't nothing similar, no different than similar to the other people on all levels. Politicians, who else? All of their asses all a part of the same fucking side of the coin. And even for some of them, is their part of coming into being their foundations being shaken and collapsing. So they're part of the transition. Just as I realized in my life, from the old to the new. That's why I sit back. I'm in a great space. I'm grounded. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's so, just to be surrounded by, to be able to hear the birds, to be grounded in what I'm doing and so forth. Because at a point in time, it's like, I remember my aunt husband was literally trying to get me to move in with them. Even doing a transition of like my mom and I being in a hotel, it was like on some weird ass shit. And I already knew it was a spiritual thing. I knew I was supposed to stay the course, stay on the path and so forth. And this is the reward from it. Because if you think that for once, for any moment that the forces or whatever you want to call it don't recognize the authority you have in the spirit that's going to play out to the physical, you're going to see it play out through you doing the inner work and shadow work, to where at a time where people assumed that you were powerless. Yeah, you might have been powerless at that time. It seemed like that when you were young and you couldn't defend yourself. But a lot of people, karma is going to come and seeing you being in an authoritative position. You reclaiming your power and your dignity within will put you in an authoritative position in the lineage. And those who know, I think y'all can read between lines on that. It's like, yeah. So, man, it's like the anger that came up around those things, around this person, boy, I was like, whew. And just to see how, again, through the distortion, how you see how woundedness affects everyone involved, how my sisters and everybody else played into it, to where they were so used to a behavior pattern to where they got so caught up in things financially. They stayed just for finances. They knew that, oh, this person, and how that played out to where you won't support someone towards their gifts, like my artistry and building on that. You won't support someone towards expanding on something that literally not brings healing to the lineage, but prosperity and abundance and longevity, sustainability. And guess what people are going to get? They're going to get exactly what they wanted. And that's why you need not to stress or worry. They're going to get exactly what they wanted. And I've seen this play out through a lot of men, to where they don't recognize in their inability to acknowledge what's going on with them, address certain things. They destroy everything in their path with their actions. And that's why you have so many, I've seen, even the women who support their dysfunctionality, they're a part of it too. That's what you got to realize. They're not exempt. They endanger everybody too. A lot of people don't even know they're an endangerment to their children. You mad because I got boundaries. I'm standing in my truth, and I was like, oh, I don't want these people around my children, or I don't want their energy. I know what's going on with them. Fuck no. And I'm gonna stand firm in that, because I know that if I knew that how people prey on the childhood woundings of people, and I recognize the energy, I recognize the pattern, that's for me. That's required of me to now be in the space of knowing how protected I am when I take care of my well-being, and then know how protected you are, others are. So when you see how the dysfunction really has fueled a lot of shit, it's because people didn't prioritize their well-being, because if they did, they would be able to see through the learned behavior patterns, to see the abusive behavior, the manipulation in other people, instead of just thinking it's normal and everything is okay. It's not the fuck okay. There's some people right now they'll be able to see my kids, like lay eyes on them. They won't, man, fuck no. Spend the night? What? The fuck? I know what you got on your, Do what? Oh, no. I know what's going on with you. Oh, nah. Some of y'all can't even say that because y'all keep thinking like it's normal and it's okay for them to just be in the presence of people who you know mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and so forth are fucked up. Don't give me that excuse like, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, the first thing y'all love to yell is money. I keep telling you, once you heal your fucking emotions and start to face things within inside, you will realize that all of that aligns with it. All of that comes from the fact of you going within yourself and start to recognize. And then the divine will place you in positions where you are protected. Y'all place y'all kids in because you don't care about your inner child. You will place your child right there in the comfort of someone who will introduce your child to sex young, which is fucked up. Some of y'all, this is what has happened to us. They'll drink around your child. They'll do certain shit. You don't realize that's a spiritual fucking exchange. That's an agreement. When you be like, oh, you can watch it, that's an agreement. You think the shit got to be in paper. No, that's an agreement. Why you think I always, those who know women, a lot of women know, man, when the last time you heard a man say he speak over himself and his children? You fucking right, because the matriarch that came before me, yeah, I carry that same motherly energy. I carry that same protective energy. They don't play no fucking games when it comes to me and what's connected to me. I cannot speak on everybody else, because people who want to choose their suffering and think that they're bigger than the program, I know what's finna come to people. I ain't gotta wish shit on them. You planted those fucking seeds. You sowed those seeds, and especially in Taurus season, people didn't ever think, like, once you get clarity, I was saying this in another video, once you start getting insight and revelations on stuff, that energy returns to the root cause or where it began. You can choose to alchemize it or return to sender. But don't be surprised when you hear about certain stuff. Last time I heard about somebody, I wasn't surprised. I'm like, hey, like, they did it to themselves. A lot of people bring on their own patterns and certain stuff. It's just like, what do you do? I'm not your father or mother. I'm not here to coddle you through certain shit where you are at an age where you know that your well-being is important, or how you show up for yourself. And then your inability to do that and prioritize that, you cannot be in my world at all. Because I won't become a prisoner to yours. No. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace.